what role has faith played in your Forrest Gump journey?
Oh man, I mean, every roller coaster ride of it, because I've explored my faith in in depth, because I've lost my faith many times, and once in particular, and was angry at God and all of that. And the thing is, again, it's like seeing the sunrise and keeping your chin up, right? But if you're looking for it, you will see these things that are right there, that are there for you, but you have to be open to receiving them.
Welcome to Quick Before You Forget. Today's guest is the best friend I've never met in person until today, and I can't wait for us all to learn from him. Bourke Floyd is an actor whose career spans Broadway, television, and film, but more than that, he's someone who shows up in every role he lives in, whether it's and always with generosity, abundance, presence, and heart. From Dawson's Creek to Sundance premieres and everything in between, his path has been shaped more by the people he's loved than the roles he's played. Today, we finally get to sit across from each other and talk through the moments that make a life worth living, the ones we want to remember quick before we forget. Bourke Floyd, welcome to my show.
Oh my gosh, I cannot tell you how excited I am to be here. I'm not kidding. She is the best friend I've never met. And then I picked her up in an alleyway today, and she's dressed so nicely. And now I think about it and play that back in Hollywood. That's weird, but it's also magic.
It is magic, and I'm so grateful. So the most important tool we have, in my opinion, is our story. And I would love for you to walk me through yours today. So past, present, future, starting back with a childhood memory that shaped who you are.
Wow. Okay. Childhood memory that shaped who I am today, really impacted who I am today, is a pretty easy one, to be honest with you. I thought that would be harder, but it really is an easy one. I grew up at the Boys Home of Virginia in foster care in a group home. And so I would, and I was on like state lunch when I would go to school, right? So it's not like I had lunch money or whatever, but I would take the bottles back. I grew up in Virginia, so I'd take the bottles back for the deposit, the return deposit and everything, and glass bottles, and get that. And I would, help somebody rake their yard, whatever. Anytime I had money, I would get, I would just put it in this little bank that I kept. And then I would go to the movies on the weekend. So I always made sure that I had $3.50 to get a movie ticket. And then I would sneak in to movie after movie after movie and spend the whole day at the theater. And I always did feel badly about it, truly. But I just, it's just what I was doing. And then about a month of doing that, somebody had given me $10. I don't know how I had this $10, but I had $10. So I bought 2 movie tickets. I bought my first movie, which was Goonies, and then I bought the movie that I was going to go see, looking at the thing. I figured out the movie I could see after that, and that was pretty quick after it. And so I bought that. I had $3 left, so I bought a soda. And I went and I watched Goonies, and I went to get a refill of the soda, and they didn't do refills. And I was like, that's okay, may I have water? And they filled it up with water, and I went back, and as I was walking back to get my ticket stub again, the manager came around the corner and told the teenager who was working collecting tickets that they would take care of it. Oh, I got this one. And I thought I was busted for sure. And I was so happy. I was like, oh, I was so relieved because I had a ticket for this next movie. Truth be told, I was going to go sneak into Goonies, but I had the ticket. I was going to see it twice. I loved Goonies. So I'm so proud. I give him my ticket, and he's like, hey, come with me, kid. And I was like, oh my gosh. And he took me around the corner, and I thought for sure I was going to get arrested. And I was terrified because, the boys' home, the option after a group home like that is often juvenile detention and sort of things like that. So I was terrified. And he just said, he asked me my name, how old I was, and, where my parents basically. He was like, so I've seen you. I know that you've been going to see all these movies, and I explained I told him the truth. I was probably crying, I think, and just embarrassed and like scared. And he said, right, okay. So you sound a lot like me. You love movies like I love movies. That's why I work here. And I was like, oh man, I wish I could work that would be so cool to run a movie theater. He goes, what movie are you going to go see? And I was like, it's for whatever it was. And I was like, but I think I'm just going to go see Goonies again, if that's okay. I was going to go see Goonies again. And I started to realize I wasn't in trouble, but I didn't know exactly what was happening. And he gave me a card that he had that would get me into any Regal cinema anytime I wanted, to see any movie I wanted, anywhere in the country, as if I was ever going to leave Richmond at that point. But, and came with soda and a bucket of popcorn for just as many as I wanted. And he gave me that card, and then he said, all right, let's go see Goonies. And he got a soda, and he got mine refilled, and we went into the next showing of Goonies. And I just, I had loved movies up until that point because they were an escape for me. I loved Goonies in particular because while I was escaping outside of it, they were also, it was like a movie for me, and I could relate. And it was like the first one that I remember really relating to and being like, oh man, I wouldn't want to lose the Goondocks either, and then this manager at Regal, John, just extended this incredible like hug of welcoming and accepting and acknowledging, seeing me, and knowing what it was and relating to that and being like, let me fix this thing for you. And so, I really worried about getting $3.50. Yeah. And I thought about when I got that $10, I had thought about, well, that's 3 weekends. I'll just need another 50 cents. But then I was like, no, I should buy for the other movie too, because I didn't want to sneak in. If I had the money, I didn't want to sneak in. And he changed everything. And that's why I've always loved movies and TV. And now I get to make them, which is the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Well, he was a transition figure for you. He made you feel seen, and he offered you an olive branch that was something so special to you for your escape. I mean, your going to the movies became, you said, an escape. Yeah. And you walk me through more of your story with the foster care system and how you obviously, that from there to today is a big leap. How did you stay grounded when you were not at the movies and you were, in that system?
Yeah, I mean, listen, the movies were a holiday from real. Mm-hmm.
Right. Oh.
For me, see, Andrew drop.
Easter
egg. No, but yeah. So look, the foster care system. First and foremost, there have been so many changes for the better in that system across the country. Yeah. It was not ideal, but the alternative. It certainly was an absolute benefit to the alternative. I experienced individuals that were there to collect a paycheck, and I experienced individuals that were there because it was their calling. And that is the way it goes in every single thing you see in your life. And the thing is, find the people no matter where you are, do your best to empathize with the people that are just there to collect a paycheck, right?
Right.
Because that's not easy. We've all had jobs, bus stop jobs, as I try to call them, where you just have to make ends meet. And we've all had those experiences in our lives. And you're unhappy and you still go because you have to make ends meet. And so I try to extend empathy to those people and retroactively forgiveness to the people that shooed me away whenever I had a question in my experience. But I also know I learned from that so much about looking for the people to whom anything is a calling. You can go to a Starbucks and find somebody who is just palpably generating joy about being there, and they are in it. They are about it. And I want that. I want that Americano from that person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like, it's, find those moments when they happen and be grateful for them. And I wouldn't be who I am or where I am today without all of those people with whom I experienced, who modeled to me how I wanted to be and maybe how I didn't want to be. And so I'm grateful to all of them.
Well, gratitude is super important to me, as I think you know, but I want to know more how you find that calling. Like, how do you get from the confusion and like sort through the noise and feel that the calling is yours?
So that's the trickiest thing, I think, for anybody in anything they're doing in their lives. Anything you show up to, being able to figure out where you fit into it is, and there are people that seem to just walk into any room completely comfortable in their own skin. Not to say that they don't have other things going on, not to say that they don't have challenges and pain and grief and regret, at all. As human beings, we all have that. That's part of the human condition. But those people that walk into a room and like own it right out of the gate, I'm always impressed by that, especially when they do it in a way that's with no pompous attitude or anything. They're just comfortable to be there. That is the coolest thing. That's the definition of cool. Like, just somebody who's like, what's good? Like, oh, yep, I'm here. What's up? Hey, who are you? And then they engage other people. But to find your calling, I Forrest Gump my way through life. I've fallen into every great opportunity I've ever had. I've fallen into it. And I think for me, as you had said, the noise versus signal, right? So static and signal. A lot of it has to do because the noise and the static and signal, we like to think of, or I like to think of as an antenna, right? And it's being transmitted and I've got to go and find it, right? But the trick is that it's not, that's true. That part's true. The energy is coming your way and you've got to pick the energy you want, right? And clear the noise. But that starts with having your antenna not blocked in a corner of your house if you're trying to get that starts with wrapping the tinfoil on the antenna back in the day. Oh, kids, you're going to have to Google that. You're going to have to Google what I'm talking about. But that grandpa's just talking about the old days, kids. No, but you have to take care of your antenna in order to pick up the signal, in order to be able to differentiate between what is signal and what is noise. You had to adjust that antenna. So like adjust your antenna. That starts with you putting out the signal you want to receive back, clearing the clutter from around you and around your heart and around who you are, taking self-inventory and owning what you find there and holding yourself accountable for it. The same boiling water that softens a potato hardens an egg.
Yeah.
So it's not your circumstance, it's how you react to it that matters. And so it's okay, your initial reaction as a human being may not be the one you choose. You would choose. May not be the one that you would prefer. But that's where, do you remember they always used to say like count to 10? Oh, if you're going to pop off, count to 10. But what they left out is while you're counting to 10, it's not just counting to 10. It's like, think about what's happening. Count to 10 and breathe and then start swimming again.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about it is that you have to, Easter egg, that's the thing about it is you have to start with you in an airplane. If there's, heaven forbid, if the masks drop, you have to put yours on first.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You have to start with you and owning it. And then, take the baggage that is just filled with junk and do away with that if you can. And it's a process.
Yeah.
Do away with that. And then with the baggage that's left, that may have grief and regret and some pain in it still, right? Because those are a part of who make us who we are, right? That's not just junk. That's not just like, why is that person living rent free in my head?
Yeah.
Right? Not that person that was mean to you or cut you off in traffic, right? Like, that stuff, do away with it. The stuff that shaped who you are, loss and wins, all of that, and then just find people whose luggage matches yours. You know what I mean? And like, and also don't forget to like set it down every once in a while and be like, cool, I'm home. I don't have to carry these with me where I'm going. I can leave these here. And there are people that walk into a room. It's not like Matthew McConaughey doesn't have baggage, right? It's not like Andrew McMahon doesn't have baggage, right? Right?
Easter egg number 3.
But I got to tell you, every time he walks into a room, both of those dudes set it down in the corner and are like, what's good? I'm home.
Go.
And put their feet up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that is the definition of cool because it's authentic. They're not pretending to be comfortable. They genuinely they've found a way, a method for them that works to set their baggage down and be present without it in the room that they're, and then when something comes up, so you go rummage through it. You know what I mean? Be like, I know what that is.
Yeah.
Check this out. Let's talk about, you know what I mean? And that's how you become present and accessible. And it takes practice. I think it takes discipline and it takes constant repetition of it.
You referenced joy and gratitude, and both of those things coexisting is a fascination of mine because they can, and they often do. And it's interesting to me how, you like you said, like everybody has the baggage. It makes me picture there's this meme on the internet always that has like the people in traffic, and you see like above it, it's like grandpa died, mom is sick, and just all these different things. You just never know,
right.
Which is why I choose to show up with compassion and give people the benefit of the doubt. Always. Oh, sometimes to a fault, perhaps, but generally speaking, it's real because everybody does have that baggage. But the most interesting one to me, mostly because of what I've walked through, is the whole grief and joy coexisting part of it. You have been through some things. Obviously, the childhood helped make you who you are. Pain, you've turned some pain into purpose there. I'm curious how I know you took a break for a while during some personal struggle, and you don't have to go into details if you're not comfortable, but can you walk me through how you found your way back to grief and joy coexisting while you were on that break and came back from that?
Yeah. So, I had a personal loss that was really, really difficult. And I didn't see meaning in anything anymore. Mm-hmm.
I hate to interrupt you, but isn't that real? Like, that's the thing. When you have something so hard happen, it can take away your ability to even see yourself.
Yeah. I didn't even see it was not numb. Right. Like sometimes they'll show it in movies and it'll, where the person is numbed and they show the loose POV and all of the blurry POV. It's not numb. It's just drowning in grief. So it's odd because when you are drowning, when you are taking on water, lifeguards have a thing. Actually, with the new Baywatch, they're rebooting Baywatch. My friend David Chokachi is coming back to play his character on it, and it's going to be great. I'm excited for that. But like in Baywatch, they would have these things, and if you were ever I was a lifeguard at the pool when I was growing up. I had like 16 jobs when I was in high school. But someone who was drowning, on Baywatch, they would show it. They would use the rescue can, to shove them away, and sometimes even have to like really defend themselves because a drowning person instinctively will grab you and push you under and all of that, right? And so it's the same thing. When you're drowning in grief, anger, rage, self-pity, all of those things, when you're drowning, people can throw you a life raft and they can give you the can, but they also, when they recognize it, maybe need to keep that arm's length because you can take them down with you. And then that becomes cyclical because your mind, your brain is the only thing that can lie to you consistently, and you will buy it every time. The competent speaker can convince most of anything and themselves of everything. And that's it. Like, you can convince yourself of anything you want to believe. And so, like cancer taking a child is your fault. Yeah. Or a divorce, let's say, is your fault. And only yours. And conversely, you can convince yourself that it's someone else's because it feels so much better to be able to point at and to say, because in our own stories, in our own stories of ourselves, we are typically the hero or the victim. Mm-hmm. We, in our own stories about ourselves, rarely allow ourselves to honestly play any part of the villain. And we are all guilty of being villains at certain points in our lives in certain ways, maybe not outright, but you have to own that. And so coming back from that was my kids, my daughter Carson saved my life. And I just didn't know, I didn't think that I was worthy of being her dad after everything that had happened. And I was scared to be her dad. I was scared. I was terrified of it.
Why were you scared?
Because I had blamed myself for my other child having passed. And so it was a challenge that I couldn't get over, and I was scared to be a father to her. I was scared that I would do it wrong, I just thought, I just blamed myself for everything. And a lot of that self-pity too, though, again, it's a cyclical thing. And so, she saved my life. I mean, she just did. And I didn't see it coming. And I wish that I could give some, epiphany moment where the light bulb clicked on or something like that, because it makes for a nicer story. But it was just this it was like more of a sunrise. And I think the thing was, the sun had been rising every day through that 12 years of me. And I was productive in what I was doing during that 12 years. I was working in anti-human trafficking and KNR, kidnapping and ransom. I was doing things that were very productive and helping other people a lot, and putting myself in harm's way, which I think correlates to what I envisioned my self-worth to be at the time. But the sun was rising all of those days. The thing is, if you're too busy looking down, you're never going to see it. And that's where I was. And she just helped me get my chin up. And now, the sun rises and sets with her every day for me. That's so, and it's a gift, but it's a weird self-exploratory thing after the fact where you go, wow, what was that? What was that? But when you're drowning, you don't know where the bottom is. I mean, have you ever seen somebody drown, or not drown, but struggle in the 6 foot of the pool, and they're 5'9"?
Right.
And you're like, bro, bounce. Bro, just bounce. It's
right
4
there.
feet's right there. But the panic sets in. That's a rule in the water. Number one rule of being in the water is never panic. That's the number one rule of being in the water, because panic is the death of you in the water. And when you're drowning, it's so easy, naturally, organically. It's so easy to panic when you think you're drowning, when you convince yourself you're drowning. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so it's hard to pinpoint this one thing, but I can absolutely hang it solidly on Carson.
We are grateful for Carson. Thank you, Carson, for doing amazing work for your dad. And I wonder how being a dad, because you're such a good dad. It's really cool to watch your being a parent is something that really like lights you up from the inside. You can see it. And I want to know how being a dad has changed you as a human. Like, how has it changed your worldviews and your values and all of the things?
Yeah. You know what? I'm so much more patient.
That's fair.
I was not patient. I wanted my things. I wanted this to happen right now. I wanted that to happen. And I wanted to be able to get this thing done. And I wanted to do that. And I wanted to, do everything, all of those things. And like, I learned from my kids to be patient, to like, to focus on the process over the outcome, and to not be immediately reactive. And I think I learned I played team sports for a very long time. And making a movie is a team. That is a team sport, making a movie. And a miracle to get one done, by the way. But it's so collaborative, and being a parent is so collaborative, and it's not about you. So I think at the end of the day, patience is the trait that I learned from being a parent. And the fact that nothing is about you. Nothing is about you. It's not.
No.
And like, once you realize that, it's easier to put your luggage down when you walk into a room.
Whew.
Once you realize that it's not about you.
Yeah. Mic drop moment. I feel that way about my kids. They are I say that they are my heart walking around on 4 legs. And I mean that.
Your kids have 4 legs?
Yes, because they're my heart walking around on.
Oh, they're two kids.
Right. 2 kids, 4 legs.
Got it.
2 kids, 4 legs. I mean, if they did have 4 legs, we would love them.
No, 100%.
Regardless.
100%.
I
might also enter them in a carnival or something.
Right,
like,
sure. Yeah.
But I love them.
But they have saved my life.
Yeah.
And they have taught me more about me at the ages of 10 and 12 than I ever thought possible.
100%.
Tell me an example of that for you and Carson.
Oh, man. Oh, no. I mean, like, I'll give you a blanket one that just when she sparks up on something, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's me. That's me. Like, more like she'll do something and be like, what are you doing? Let's relax. Oh no, wait, that's exactly what I do. I do that. I do exactly that.
Yeah.
Why do I spark up like that?
Yeah.
I learned from her. I learned from her all the time. Like she just came to set with me the other day, and we took some pictures with the cast, and she said that we were mogging her. Yeah, I don't know. Because she had just come from the gym, and she was like, you guys were mogging me in these photos. I wish I'd done my makeup and taken a shower and cleaned up before I came. You guys are mogging me. And I'm like, well, I'm known to mog. So she definitely has helped teach me vernacular that I did not, that I was unaware of. And she's patient with me on it, which is fun.
That's nice.
But she's also, when she gets sparked up on something, and I'm like, wow, that's what I do. I still do that sometimes. Oh man, hey sweetheart, let's talk about it for a second. And it helps me, again, kind of part of teaching you the patience is also modeling for you the impatient.
Right.
Because they've seen it.
Yeah.
Because it took you a minute to learn it.
Right.
So they've seen it, and now they're modeling it back to you. They don't know they're modeling it back to you, but when you're like, oh, that's me. Yeah, that's my bad. No, we don't have to worry about that. You don't know that car going slowly in front of you probably has a birthday cake, or they just have their brand new baby in the back. We don't need to worry about how slow they're going. We'll follow until they leave. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing. So
you said you Forrest Gumped your way through life.
Oh yeah.
And that sounds familiar to me because I feel a little bit that way about my yellow brick road that I'm always talking about. Mm-hmm. But I'm wondering, as that's happened and all these different things have happened and the people have come into your life, what is something that you saw later that made more sense later? Like when you had a plan and it didn't go as planned, but it ended up being way better than you could have planned. Something that happened for you rather than to you.
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a great question.
Thank you.
Well, I will say that rejection is God's protection. And
Amen.
So that as an actor, we experience rejection regularly. And often we experience rejection as ghosting, because when you don't book a role, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to let you know you didn't book the role. You just never hear anything. You're like, okay, well, I thought that first date went pretty well, but okay. Okay. Carson, love you. I had to drop a little Cardi B in there. I think it's tricky for me to. Well, no, I've got one. I was working out of college. I had my degree in applied mathematics, and I was recruited out of college and was working for the government. And I was in New York, and that's what I was going to do. I was going to work for the government doing this thing that I was doing, which ties into the KNR and anti-human trafficking, and as an operator, as a tactical operator. And I was living in New York, and that's who I am. This is what I do for a living, and that's cool, and this will be what I do. And unlike in the movies, most of that is very boring. It's until it's not. It's like wearing your seatbelt. Like you don't even think about it until you're glad you wore it, right? So a lot of it's not at all like it is in the movies. And this woman comes out of a coffee shop and asks me, stops me and goes, are you a model? And, I said something along the lines of, look, I might have moved here yesterday, but I didn't, I wasn't born yesterday, but it was, she was with Ford Models. It was Katie Ford. And she had just had a meeting with Abercrombie and Bruce Weber. This is in the late 90s. This is in the late 1900s. That hurts just saying it, and it's true. But she had just had this meeting, and they wanted all-American, very athletic, jockey kind of guys. And she just walked out of this meeting, basically, and there was, me walking down the street, and she thought. And so that saying yes to that and going into this meeting and having them take Polaroids, not knowing what it was, and having no frame of reference for what it would do, changed and then seeing what it ended up happening from it, like billboards in Times Square and like on the sides of buses and stuff. That's wild. That's wild.
Yeah.
That one time doing it and seeing how it paid off made it so much easier to keep doing. Even like, yeah, okay, I'll try that. Which sort of started the Forrest Gump thing, and it was completely a curveball and completely unexpected and changed the course of my life. Mm-hmm. And I think the actors that make it out here or anywhere are the ones that maybe don't get the yes on the first one, and still continue, or the 10th or the 100th, and they still continue. And even when they get, and those human beings, whether they're actors or not, who celebrate the small wins along the way, will generate more wins as they come. You can't get on a win streak without the first one. And so, even if that win isn't the war, even if it's a win in a battle, take the win in the battle, because that's the only way you can ever get on a winning streak, is to recognize the first one.
It's really smart, and it's an interesting. You have to take the time to be present. Honestly, is what it shows. Is you have to, instead of like worrying so much about what's coming or what happened, you are just in the moment, being present and being grateful for it.
It's process over outcome.
Mm-hmm.
These are the goals I want. This is what I want eventually. Okay, well, right, but like that's a roadmap. Right? You've got to, that's where you want to go. And now you're looking at this map, and there are all these different routes that you could use to get there. Which way are you going to turn out of your driveway? Let's just start with that.
Yeah.
Just which way are you going to turn out of your driveway?
The one next thing, literally the one next thing.
Just focus on that and stay present for that, and find wins in that.
So what does the present Bourke understand that past Bourke didn't?
Oh, wow. I don't.
We got time.
I mean, Lazy Pickle better be super lazy because this is going to be a minute.
We got time.
There's so much, obviously, and I think anybody could say that if they're honest. I think appreciating. I mean, what I just said, knowing process over outcome, is something that I definitely did not ever even consider. I never even, and that is like a part of my day-to-day, moment-to-moment life now. And I wasn't even aware of process. It's like when they say with kids, kids, they think they're invincible. Remember that?
Yeah.
You guys just think you're invincible.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and as an adult now, I'm like, no, we just don't think. You got it backwards.
Right.
You think we're thinking we're invincible.
No.
We just don't think. We just immediate. We just go. And like that, I think what I've learned is focusing on the process, on what's right in front of you, and trying to stay present and appreciative is the only way that you can get where you're trying to go eventually. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And be happy once you're there, because it is the journey. There is here.
Literally.
You are here.
Yeah.
So
right.
Get it.
Carson is the answer, but I'm going to challenge you to think about a different person who believed in you when you doubted yourself.
Oh, I mean, I spent my whole life doubting myself.
So how do you fix that though? Like, because you're dealing with rejection, you're process over outcomes, but how you also still are very real. You're still human. You still doubt yourself. So like, how do you? I mean, that's a separate question, I guess. But if you can think of a person, great. But how do you work through that doubt, and how do you like push through that rejection?
Well, so I think there are people that will actively support you, right? And try to give you things, being proactive, trying to support you, right? Could be parents, could be your partner, could be, right? And that is amazing. Those are gifts, and a lot of people have them, and some don't. But I think it's so like being nice is great. Being nice is great. To be nice to someone. But being kind is hard.
Yeah.
Being kind is a discipline. Being kind is saying truth, a hard truth with love. Being kind is tough love. Being kind is doing that thing that costs you, that makes you feel awkward. That's being kind. And I think proactively loving you is so kind because it comes unconditionally. It comes with a cost. And sometimes we get wrapped up in the people that are nice. And we fall under the illusion of that. We believe, listen, the fact that anybody would call themselves a fan of mine blows my mind. It blows my mind. And I'm so appreciative of any of that support that I get. And so confused by it. But I'm so appreciative of it. I'm so grateful for it. But the thing that I had to realize and remember is they're a fan of my work. You're a fan of my work. You don't know me.
Right.
So it's important not to, if you believe your good reviews, you have to believe your bad reviews, right? It's that kind of thing. It's separating finding the people, being appreciative of the people that are nice, but knowing that that's being nice. Seeking out the people that are going to be kind, that are going to throw away your favorite red shirt because you don't look good in it. Find those people, because that's kind, because you know that I'm going to realize that my red shirt is gone because it's my favorite. And you know that we're going to have a conversation about it. And eventually you're going to have to tell me that I never looked good in it in the first place.
That red is not your color.
And red is not my color.
Right.
That is kind.
Right.
That was being kind. Find those people that'll tell you the truth with love in their heart.
With love in their heart. And Brene Brown would say clear is kind also, which is another interesting segue into the question I wanted to really ask you about grief. Aside from the grief and joy coexisting, is what did grief make clearer for you? We have Kleenex.
Yeah, I know that's right. Grief is the negative space that allows joy to shine.
Oh. Grief is the negative space that allows joy to shine. I'm going to need the Kleenex.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to find it. But yeah, I would just leave it at that probably.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Quick before you forget, what do people underestimate about themselves?
Oh man. You know, I think if I wanted it as a blanket statement for almost all people, we talk about it in the industry, in the acting and entertainment industry quite a bit, is that imposter syndrome. I think people will very often, I know I'm guilty of it, underestimate not just their worth, but simply that they themselves are enough. And the want to, I want to book a series regular. I'm just to put it in black and white terms, so there's no indictment of somebody that's got something, right? Or I want to make, I want to be the manager of this coffee shop. I want to be the manager. That's what I want to do. I want to open my own coffee shop. And I don't want to tell anybody that I work at a coffee shop until I own my own.
Right.
I mean, how many times, I don't want to tell anybody that I'm doing this indie film that is probably not very good. I mean, it doesn't feel good. The script's not great. I'm not really happy with the script. It's disjointed and, I'm not getting paid very well. And like, the crafty's not right. Like the budget's low and nobody's going to see it, or it's just going to this and it's not going to be on Netflix. I want to be on one on Netflix. I'm not going to tell anybody about the ones I do until they're on Netflix. Like that is a large scale of feeling like you are not enough. Like what you're doing today is not enough. That is focusing again on outcome instead of process. And if you focus on the process and the very step in front of you, then you are enough for that step in front of you, because he won't bring you to it if he can't bring you through it. So you again, it's when we look with this macro lens, of course you're not enough. If you look at the ever expanding universe, you are not enough. How could you be? The universe, not only is it infinitely large, it's expanding. It's still growing.
But if God loves you, should you not then love yourself?
That's why are we looking at the universe? Why are you looking at that?
Right.
That's the wide lens. I mean, I think personalizing it to your everyday interaction, put a smile on somebody's face. Do it. Like, do it. I dare you to put a smile on somebody's face today. Go out and put somebody you don't know, a stranger, put a smile on their face, and do it as many times as you have to do it until you get somebody to smile back at you, and you're home. And then look at you and then tell me that you're not enough.
That's powerful.
It's true though. Like,
yeah.
Genuinely.
That's how I exist in this world. Perhaps to a fault. There was this lady at Dollar Tree who came up to me. I was there just looking at like the shiny, Christmas like glasses.
Oh, yeah.
Reindeer glasses with Christmas trees on them, and like the light bulb necklaces.
I love Dollar Tree, by the way.
Same.
I love getting wrap
Except
gifts
it's
at
the
Dollar Tree.
$1.50 tree now.
Well, true.
Like what in the world? Anyway, so I'm standing there looking at this stuff, and this lady comes up to me, and this is something that you talk about, the Forrest Gump situation, and just kind of being aware, like the art of noticing these situations when they're happening as they're happening is something that I've, as a 40-year-old woman now, I have embraced it, and I'm just like letting it happen because it's fascinating to me. So this lady comes up to me and she goes, "I need to ask you a question." I was like, okay, this is ominous, but all right. And like, I'm just standing there looking at the light bulb necklaces. Like, I don't know what I did to attract this situation, but she walks up to me. She says, "I need to ask you a question." She says, "How old do I look?"
Does she have glasses on also?
Mm-hmm. And she's older.
I mean, does she have the reindeer glasses on?
No.
No, she's just
browsing the store.
Not in this thing that I just picked up off the shelf. How old do I look in this thing?
Just in general.
She's just asking in general.
In life, how old do I look? Which is like not a question that you ask a stranger who's looking at light up necklaces.
I would find a trap door in that Dollar Tree and throw myself through it.
I wanted to do that.
Yeah, I would be.
Instead, I said, "Why do you want to know?"
Oh, see, that's a good return.
Thank you. And she said, "Well, I don't know. I just want to know." And I said, "You look 22. Now, she did not look 22. She looked older than 22. But in my head, I have coached myself to believing that you can be whatever age you think you want to be by doing this work. So I said, you look 22. She goes, "Bullshit." Like loud. Everybody in the Dollar Tree could hear. And I said, no, okay. I know. All right, fine. I'll say 65. She melted. She's like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much." Because she was actually 75. Now, I would have probably pushed her to maybe 75, 80, but we ended up having the most lovely conversation about self-love and aging gracefully in an era of everything plastic. And it was just this beautiful reminder to speak to exactly what you were saying, which is that, like, we have this ability to be present and, encounter people every single day. And so many of us are like on our phones or whatever. And we have the gift of connection to so many people that we don't even like, that are just in our everyday life. Like this woman, and it happens to me a lot. And we said something about God and faith. And I wanted to talk to you about that too, because I want to know, like, what role has faith played in your Forrest Gump journey?
Oh man. I mean, every roller coaster ride of it, because I've explored my faith in depth, because I've lost my faith many times, and once in particular, and was angry at God and all of that. And the thing is, again, it's like seeing the sunrise and keeping your chin up, right? But if you're looking for it, you will see these things that are right there, that are there for you, but you have to be open to receiving them. That whole accepting Christ into your heart, or whoever, put whatever name on it you want, whatever you're comfortable with. I'm
Gus.
down.
My friend Cher has said Gus. So
You're
God,
friends with
universe,
Cher?
Not that Cher. I wish.
No, I'm talking about your friend Cher.
I know.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
It's a cool name. I love names, but she's the one that phrased it Gus. So I want you to keep on that train.
I'll go.
But we can talk about Gus. So God, universe, spirit.
Oh,
so
I love that. Perfect.
It's so because I'm the faith-based God person and she's the universe person, and we coexist and we both believe and we both keep showing
respect
up.
each
and
other.
we respect each other, and we have all of the appreciation for Gus.
That's it.
So continue talking about Gus.
I love that. Yeah.
Yes.
So when you allow Gus into your heart, that means that you opened the door for Gus, right? You open the door for it.
Yeah.
And you have to invite these things in, and then they will start appearing before you so many times, it'll blow your mind. I will say I was recently a very good friend from over 20 some years, almost 30 years friend, passed away after a battle with cancer. And he had made me, we knew it was close, and I had gone to visit, and I had this Disney trip for Sweethearts Night at Disneyland planned with my daughter and her best friend. And I told him about that, because all we do as old men, all we did was just talk about our kids, which is so, again, he lit up every single time too. So it was fun. It was great. It was healing for him in a way. And so I was talking about the Sweethearts Night thing. And eventually, I think because he knew where he was in his journey, he had said, listen, no matter what happens, you have to promise that you go on that trip, because we have to show our kids, you will be the one to show her that a man shows up where he says he will show up. And you have to promise me, you won't miss that trip, no matter what. And I did, I promised. And so we're on this trip, and they're getting ready to go. They're putting on their makeup and getting dressed for Disney. And as a girl dad, I'm already been ready for an extended period of time at this point. And I find out that my friend has passed. His wife lets me know that he has passed. And let me know that it was peace, and I took him, I took a couple of minutes. I excused myself, took a couple of minutes, and then we went to Disney. And we're enjoying Disney. We're having a blast, and I'm able to keep it at bay, shove it into the box, as it were, and slam the thing shut.
The luggage.
Mm-hmm. And at one point, we're getting off Indiana Jones, favorite ride. We're getting off Indiana Jones, and as we're walking off of Indiana Jones, there's another family that's coming on, and it's this dad, and he's wrangling, and my friend had 6 kids. And his dad's wrangling a bunch of kids. I don't think it was 6, but it was a bunch. He's spinning plates. He's getting cats to march in a parade. It's a straight line. The Indiana Jones thing, it's literally a tunnel.
Right.
And he's like, no, gotta keep going this way.
Herding the cats.
Yeah, and I saw it, and it was amazing, and yet it cracked the box. And then I realized that I'm here with my daughter, and his kids won't have, and all these things, right? And so I start feeling that, and I'm feeling it coming on, and I'm trying to do the things you do, using the tools that I've learned to try to keep it at bay. But it is a wave. It's a tsunami. It's building to a tsunami. And I'm concerned that I'm going to need to excuse myself for 30 minutes or something to get it together. And what am I going to say to Carson? How am I going to explain it? Then I don't want a friend to think like, wow, your dad's really, Indiana Jones really hits your dad in the feels. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want this to be weird. And like, I don't want to steal their joy, burden them with it. And these are all the things that I'm thinking, right? Which again is also pointing it right at me, instead of being like, you know what, like, let's take our breaks. But I'm coming around the corner. We're out of Indiana Jones. We're turning a corner. I'm getting angry. I'm like, it's converting. I'm going through the process. I'm compressing it, right? I'm making it, I'm speeding the whole thing up. I'm putting my grief into a pressure cooker in this moment, because I'm trying not to pop, right? And I'm trying to shove it in the box. And so it's like speeding through the stages of grief, right? So I'm angry. Yeah. I'm right about angry at God, at Gus, at everything, right? I'm like, at that point, I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, keep going. And right as I'm at that point, I look up, and there is one of my oldest friends with his family walking in the park, who this guy beat cancer. And I'm like, yo, really? You have got jokes, Gus. Well played, sir, ma'am, your majesty. Well played indeed. And, that's the thing is if you have to, you have to be open to seeing it, and it'll be there for you if you are open to it.
The number of times that has happened since I have consciously decided to be present and to, I'll call it like, it's gratitude, but it's also abundance. Like, it's just believing and walking in a season of abundance and trusting that there are things like that can and will happen. Yeah. It's incredible to me. Like but you said a lot when you said, like, you have to believe, like, you have to know and have faith that those things will come. It's almost like, it reminds me a little bit of when my friend just had to have a difficult conversation with her son, and she told him something that was so thoughtful about, you tell your kid when you're about to have this kind of conversation, this is going to be 5 minutes of being really uncomfortable. And the way that just lit a bulb in my brain, because it's like, you know what? I would feel better if I knew it was only 5 minutes.
Set an actual expectation.
Right. Right. Because nearly all, if not all, conflict in life comes from mismatched or unfulfilled expectations. So you set that expectation from the gate. It's going to be 5 minutes of awful, but we'll get through it and then we'll move on.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful that you had that happen that day. Like thank you for sharing that story, because I think it's so important for people to recognize. And I don't think that I think that the people that miss it don't miss it because of any other reason, but maybe they're just not conscious of it. Like they're not paying attention. They're not, well, whatever it might be, but you need to have that ability to like be grounded. And it sounds like you were mad at God, but you were still talking to him.
That's right. I was keeping the lines of communication open.
And he's like, I got you, brother.
Yeah.
Here's your pal.
Boom.
Right. And I mean, that same friend that had that difficult conversation that I referenced was having a really hard day at a football. She went to her son's football game, and I showed up that night and she just cried, and it's just, I am so grateful for people and the role that people play in our story.
Yeah.
It's just cool. Like, at a geeky level. Like I love that story so much. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of the questions that I was going to ask you about some of the really cool people that you've had the opportunity to cross paths with. So obviously, you've been in a lot of movies, you've been in a lot of shows, you've had a lot of different roles, and you've played you shared the screen with some pretty impressive people.
Yeah.
And I know this is a hard question because of that, but I'm curious if there's any person or people that you could illustrate for me, like that actually showed up for you in those moments when you shared the screen with them. Like what lessons did you learn from all those different people that you have gotten to work with?
Yeah. I could give a few, but let's see. So Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
I did Hearts in Atlantis with Anthony Hopkins. And at one point, he had insisted on me calling him Tony at one point. And I was like, all right, that's going to take some work, but we'll try to get there. But so Tony took me over at one point and said, you're a really talented actor. Mm. I was like, oh, thank you. And he goes, wait. I was like, what's up? What's up? What? He goes, once you really believe that and start doing less, everybody will see it. I was like, okay. And I mean, that was a gut punch. But then I thought about it, and he said it early. I mean, nothing's worse than like the movie's in the can. It's done. Somebody sees it, and the first words out of their mouth are like, why did you talk with that accent? Or like, why did you wear the red shirt?
Darn that red shirt.
Right. Like, that's not kind. Because it's something that's done. It cannot be corrected going forward in that manner. When you directly reference this finished product that is out in the world, right? But there's a way to be kind about it later and be like, I was just thinking about that red shirt you were wearing in that movie. I wouldn't wear red anymore. I don't know that that's really your color. Why are you wearing that, right? Not reactively.
Right.
So Tony did it early in the movie and in our working together. And I was like, okay. And it was still a gut punch, but it forced me to think about it. And it didn't force me to, I chose to embrace it. It helps that it was coming from Sir Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
But I embraced it. And I was thinking about and I realized that I was masking. I wasn't acting because I was so nervous that I had shut down my heart, my spirit, my talent, if you will, if I have any. I was shutting all of that down and instead focusing on what is this how will this appear? This needs to be very challenging. I need to work very hard today. I'm working so hard. Do you see how hard I am at acting? And and he called me on it. I was like, oh man, that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. And the cool thing was that we hadn't even gotten out of that scene. And so we came back in and I was forced to do. I was forced to take the note from him quietly and away from anybody. Although, just so you know, if you're on set, everybody hears everything. Because the sound guy's got his cans, and he 100% called me on it later. Once, not the day. He was very sweet that he didn't say anything that day. A few days later, he commented that he had heard it and was like, "Oh," and that he didn't put it forward for dailies, so no one else would hear it. He covered me.
Thank you.
And yeah, which is awesome. But yeah, that was super impactful in just being dynamic. Being dynamic doesn't mean kinetic. Because the truth of the scene is what will make people lean in.
Yeah.
Sometimes that is big. Sometimes it is kinetic. But the truth is the truth.
Right.
And so the truth will do it just about every time. You just have to be willing to find it and be vulnerable enough to deliver that and know that that is enough. And I think Bobby Duvall just passed away, and we worked on Hearts in Atlanta. We worked on Gods and Generals together, and he stuck up for me with, some of the people on that movie that were, because I was like this Abercrombie and Fitch teen drama guy to them, and he stuck up for me, and he didn't stick up for me like just because it's right and I'm just going to stick up for you. He stuck up for me, and he explained to me this because he believed in it. He believed what it wasn't just they're bullies and I won't allow it. It was they're bullies and they're wrong. And he also taught me, Bobby Duvall taught me, don't work so hard trying to prove anybody wrong. Work twice as hard trying to prove yourself right. And I thought that was a pretty cool. It's like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about that. Worry about you. Prove yourself right. And that was cool.
They both did something for you where they said something honest and true as it was happening.
Correct.
Which is, I think, an important clarification, because I know you mentioned it earlier, but I know that you do something very well with intention, and that is shining the spotlight on people that you believe in or that you trust. And I am, my people know this, I am big into being a fangirl. I think being a fangirl is a superpower, because people work too hard to not get that little jolt of whatever it is when it's happening. I can respect the things that happen behind the scenes to make that thing happen.
Sure.
And there's always more going on. There's always a story, and there's no such thing as overnight fame, no such thing as overnight success, only overnight fame. Yeah. And that is an important clarification. But I believe in cheering loudly. I believe in share. If there's something that I like, a product or a service or a book or a song that makes me feel things, yeah. I need to. I can't help it anymore. I need to share it with the world. So I want to know, what is Bourke fangirling over right now?
Oh man, so many things that I've discovered in the last little bit that have my mind blown. Cam Whitcomb is a musician from Canada. I love his stuff. Max McNown is incredible. I love his stuff. They're kind of hand in hand a little bit for me. They're both playing Stagecoach Day 3. They're both on Sunday for Stagecoach, which is cool.
I think
they're both on Saturday. They're both on Saturday for Stagecoach, which is cool. I'm looking forward to that. I've seen them both live a few times, and they're just insane. It's insane talent. It's insane talent. I think that there are other musicians that I've come to. It's like you're teaching the algorithm what you're into, right? And so it'll feed you more of it. And again, that's sort of a reap what you sow thing. Mm-hmm. And so I've gotten to the point where I have so many that pop up on my feed that I'm just like, oh my gosh, so good, so good, so good, that I've actually consciously recently, this is only in the last few days, started to say I need to slow that down, because it's becoming reactive to this. It's becoming just like, oh, love it, whatever. It's less honest than what it deserves. Like, I need to slow down how quickly I'm jumping on. So I've been saving them to a folder and then going down the rabbit hole with one or two that I've found at a time. You know what I mean? So that I can hear more of their music and more of their stuff and see more of who they present themselves to be on Instagram or TikTok. And I think there are a lot of creators out there that get a bad rap as a whole because people are afraid of, don't take my cheese. Don't steal my cheese or whatever.
Patrick Lencioni.
Yeah.
Who moved my cheese.
Yep. That's it. Thank you. Yeah. They think that that's what it is, as though it's always a zero-sum game. To be clear, there are limited funds that people have, but there's also a limited attention span that people have to truly dedicate into any particular thing. And so, yes, it is competition, but it's competing when you're competing for other people's attention, and you look at it as a race where one of us will finish first, and that's what, and second's just the first to lose or whatever. That's like, in an audition, you can't be my competition. You can't. If we're auditioning for the same role, you're not my competition because I'm rooting for you. So like, you can't be. Like, it's not our control. It's not ours to control. It's not ours to control what impacts someone. Yeah. What is ours to control is creating, putting forward energy, art, music, performances, coffees, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Whatever you put forward into the world, it is ours to put that forward as honestly and with as much love in it for us
self-love
that we can. Yeah.
Yeah.
And because then it can really be, then it's an honest response that you'll get from it, instead of worrying about what that person's doing. And there are a lot of creators out there that are just going for it, and it's rad. I mean, some of them are super. Zach King is doing these things that are just insane with his editing, and like, it's so cool. And then he'll show up at a school, and they'll put it up on the, this elementary school, and they'll put him up on the big projector screen, and he's talking one of his videos, and all the kids know him because he makes great stuff. And I met him at the Shazam 2 premiere, and he's just a great dude. But and they're watching a video of him in their gym, in their gymnasium or whatever it is, their gymatorium, I think is a cafetorium, whatever. They're sitting crisscross applesauce on the floor watching this guy, and then he falls out of the bottom of the screen, and he's really there.
He's there, and just like that's one of his edits, even. Like, yeah.
And he does it live for these kids like that. Like, who isn't about that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who doesn't want to be about that? So like, Zach King certainly doesn't compare himself to anybody else. Because nobody's doing what he's doing.
Well, and it's you versus you.
Right.
That's what I hear, is that you have to keep that in mind and remember, and that's where, self-love isn't selfish, because it is you versus you, and the goals and stuff that you set for yourself matter that much more because you set them.
That's right.
Yeah. Quick before you forget, what's the first thing that somebody should do before they realize that the life they're living is different than the one that they're meant to live?
What's the first thing they should do when they realize that?
When the life they planned isn't the one they're living. Yeah.
Yeah. The first thing they should do when they realize that is find 10 things in the life they are living that is not the life they planned, for which they are grateful. 10 things.
So what are Bourke's 10 things right now?
Oh, I mean, my kids, hands down. Like, there's no...
That's it. The 10 things. Yeah, that's it.
That
would just be my kids 10 times.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, that's like, I like never have to look far for anything for which to be grateful. I can expound on that and say, the opportunities that I have in this life to introduce my kids to Ariana Grande and let them hang out, like actually hang out.
Right.
Or Tom Holland and let them hang out, actually hang out and actually get to know them. Or Ian Somerhalder, or those are things for which, but it all comes back to the root of my kids, because none of us are living the lives that we planned. Nobody is. No one.
Yeah.
No one. No one is.
Zero. Yes.
No one who's being honest with themselves is living the life they planned. So if you are in that state where you are comparing what you're living to what you planned and thinking that there's something wrong, see, just that comparison is the grass is greener over here, right? That's why if you're in that headspace, you need to work to find the 10 things that you're grateful for, which is why that was my response. So like, if I were in that headspace, which I'm not, thankfully, I have been, but I'm not, I would dig deep. I would not just say my kids, but I have abundance in my life right now. I'm I'm incredibly blessed right now. Gus is hooking a bro up right now. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And so the list is too long for 10.
Well, what's one thing that you don't want to forget about right now?
In this moment right now?
In this moment of abundance and stuff. Like, what is one thing that you look back, I want to get to your 80th birthday party too. But before we get right.
That was a wild one. I'm 96.
Before we get there, what's one thing about your daily life right now that you don't want to forget?
Yeah, I would say that I'll say two things. One, that everyone in my immediate family and my closest friends, having recently lost, I can say, and again, I had to actually do this when I saw my other friend at Disney. It reminded me that I've had friends that were sick and have made it, and that's important. And so I just recently lost somebody from my small circle of friends and family, but everyone that is in, and it's easy to focus on that, and that deserves focus, and that deserves contemplation, and that deserves stages of grief. That deserves tears or whatever it needs to be, right? Yeah. But it also is important to remember that the circle that I have currently is all healthy. And I will say that for sure is something that I would want to hold on to for the next time someone is sick, because people get sick. Right. And I would also like to say that right now I'm pretty happy about the fact that my Wordle streak is at 100 days.
That's a solid flex right there.
Boom. 120 is my record, and it's haunting me. It's on there every time at the end when I get it right. It's like 120, and I'm like, yeah. But I remember when I was at 54, I remember being at 54 and with thinking, God, man, it's going to take me forever to get to 121. I remember that. I remember feeling that way and being like, what are you doing? What are we doing? Hey, bud, what's up, man? You holding on a little too tight there, my friend? And relaxing about it. And now I'm at 100 and I'm like, dude, 121 is going to be nothing. I'm getting that 150 badge.
Yes.
And it's so cool to throw it away and be like, and if I don't get it, that's cool too, because it's just Wordle.
It's just
you know what I mean?
Yes.
That's it. Yeah. So,
well, the goalpost is always moving.
Right. The goalpost is always moving, and it's important to remember that you're still in the game.
Yeah.
And it's also important to remember that there are times to contemplate the fact that everyone in your family and your immediate circle are healthy, and to go deep like that, and to think about big stroke things like that. And there are times where it's just okay to find yourself laughing. I just did this movie that comes out March 15th.
Okay.
And my co-star in the movie, the star of the movie, Riley Reagan, fantastic actress. Love Riley. She's amazing. She's so talented, young actress here in LA. She told me, we're sitting We're sitting in this. I don't know if this is going to be funny in the retelling. This is my first time trying to retell it. But I will tell you that I've thought of this over the last 3 or 4 months since we shot the movie. It has randomly popped in my head. I'm like going to cry. It's randomly popped in my head, totally at random and without explanation. And I found myself laughing. And I'll see people be like, "You all right? Well, like, what's up?
We do have Kleenex.
What are we laughing about?"
On standby.
Yeah, 100%. And they're plus they're with the lotion. No, but we're sitting in this Range Rover that's all dummied up on the trailer and it has the lights and the camera, you know, because we're driving this thing. We're doing the scene in the car. But they're resetting us. And she's like, you know, I wanted to go to Atlantis. You know, Atlantis. And I was like, yeah, of course. She was like, I so badly wanted to go to Atlantis, but I was on this cruise and the weather was bad. And so we couldn't go to Atlantis, but we parked. I think she said parked. I was like, cool. We parked right off the island and you could see it and it looked so cool. So I'm going to go to Atlantis sometime. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, I hope you do. You know, you let me know when you do. I want to see pictures, right? And I meant that. I was trying to be like, good. That's a great thing to do. And I'm sorry that you weren't able to go. And she goes, yeah. Also, have you ever heard of the poop cruise? And I was like, from the
okay.
You're from the Netflix documentary thing?
Yeah.
You mean that one? She's like, yeah. You know, it's funny because I was on the boat and weather was bad. So we just sort of stuck on the boat. And I was like looking at this boat to be like, I wonder how often this happens that they can't go. And they park right off the thing and they can't go. And so while I'm looking, I realize in my research online, I find out this boat, that they've renamed the boat, but it's the boat from the poop cruise. And I was like, and I just, the number of times that I've just found myself laughing about, like when I see somebody like, it's how she broke to me this very like she still is trying to, the fact that she's still trying to be like, yeah, so I didn't go to paradise. I saw it. And then I was on the poop cruise and I don't really know. Anyway, I was like, I don't know what to do with you. I love you so much. It's so honest what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, you ever heard of the poop cruise? And it's just the best. And my son, listen, one time I had my child come up to me and I'm working on my laptop and my child comes up. I'm sitting on the couch. I'm working on my laptop. My child comes up, 2 years old, comes up right to the seat next to me on the couch, but doesn't climb up. Toddler doesn't climb up, puts their elbows on it and looks off contemplatively. Daddy, you sinking what I sinking?
Yes.
Shutting that. I don't know. What are you sinking? Yeah. I was thinking about squirrels. And I was like,
we love squirrels.
I'm thinking about squirrels too. Come up here. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Get up here. And that's like probably the best hour I think I've ever had talking about squirrels. And like, that's you know, it's
the whole point.
There's so many hard things in this world.
Yeah.
There's so many hard things in this world and we're all going to experience them. And this life is but a vapor, and like we are just astronomically, mathematically impossible that any of us are here, and we've already beaten the odds in that way. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't experience grief and pain and burden and regret and these horrible, harder things, because that's a part of the human experience during this brief vapor of time. But with all of that, quick before you forget, think about squirrels or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, let that stuff be negative space to see the joy, to highlight the joy.
Thank you, because that was amazing. And it's time to talk about your 80th birthday.
Oh, God. Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So I had a friend who passed away, and we ended up having like a Zoom memorial service for him. And the thing that made me really sad about it was everybody had been touched by this human, and there was about 200 of us there, and
on the Zoom
call. Wow, yeah,
200.
it was amazing. So it was Dave Hollis, who was married to Rachel Hollis,
Yep.
and it was really unfortunate because the way that he passed and everything leading up to his death was very hard. But he, having us all be there and talk about how this one human had somehow sparked something in this 200 lives was so cool. And it made me think about the importance of saying the thing right now, right? Like we talked about that, saying the thing right now.
Sure.
So what do you want to say right now about your 80th birthday? What do you want to remember? What do you want people to be talking about? Who do you want to be there? Obviously, not everybody we want to be there will be there, but what does it, just paint the picture for me? Like, what does it look like? What are they saying? And what do you want them to be saying about your legacy?
Man, God, that's tough. That's a good one. I think it's funny because I have my 50th birthday. I turned 50 this year, and I wanted to throw a party, but I can't bring myself to throw a party for myself. My other daughter, Paris, had her birthday, and she was filming a movie on her birthday, and she came back, and so she threw a birthday party about a month after her birthday, and she wrapped it into a charity thing, and it was she made it not about her. And so maybe I will, at some point this year, throw a party, and it won't be my birthday party. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But like, and maybe that's the answer. Maybe, again, something my kids have taught me, right?
Yeah.
So it's funny that we're talking about birthdays because I've been thinking about my birthday quite a bit, turning 50 or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm 19 in reruns.
22. You're 22.
22.
Yeah. Got it locked in.
Bullshit! I don't know why I made her sound like that, but I chose. It's weird.
She did kind of sound like that.
That's weird for Milwaukee. Listen, Laverne, Shirley, calm it down. So I think I would want, obviously, my circle there. I would want my friends there. I would want my kids there. I'd want my family there. That's an obvious one. I think beyond that, I would want to be surprised by the people that are there. Mm. I would want, it's not so much that I want a surprise party as much as I would rather be surprised by the people that are there.
To come and celebrate you.
That would want to come and participate in that while I was still alive, which would be rad.
Yeah.
And I think I remember this guy, Scott Chambers, bass player, went to high school together. He played bass in this band, Pink Salmon. And Scott Chambers, when we had senior superlatives, told me that he had written my name down for all of them. And I mean, I liked Scott. He was a cool, like, people liked Scott. He was popular. He was a cool guy. I couldn't, still today, I almost wanted to Facebook him. This was a few years ago that I thought, the last time I ever thought of this was he like followed me on Facebook or something. We had our high school reunion, so I had to become active on Facebook again because that's where everything was.
Yeah.
And when I saw him, I immediately thought it hit me how kind that was to me.
Yeah.
And how surprised I was by it. That this super popular, I mean, he was always really nice. Like, he wasn't popular like in the movies. Like, he wasn't the jock in the movies that was popular and a jerk to people. He was just this nice guy. Everybody loved him, and he was a really cool guy. Like, he made people laugh, and he was good. He was in this band that was a cool band. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I still like wish that I could figure out a way to word asking him what that was about, or at least thanking him for it.
Well, you just did. I mean, I don't know his name.
No.
Scott Chambers. Yeah. So Scott Chambers, thank you for doing that for my friend Bourke.
Yeah. I remember being shocked by it and just how touched I was by that. Having said all of that, people like Scott Chambers, like those moments when you see them are pretty incredible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I would want that to be it. Now listen, there will never be anything that tops, and I in no way, shape, or form am even referencing myself in this story. It is a video that everyone should check out. And unfortunately, the name of the gentleman is going to escape me. But in the 80s, I mean, it's not a celebrity or anything like that, except everybody has the opportunity to be a celebrity or to be treated like one by treating people the right way. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You can impact people right now, and like that can have an impact and make people excited to see you just in the way you behave. But because fame is fictional, fame is a false creation, and it's not real at all. They don't love you. They love your work or their song or whatever. They don't know you. Chill out. And it can run away just as quickly as it came. But this gentleman had saved hundreds of people during the Holocaust, hundreds of Jews during the Holocaust. And he had saved them by putting them similar to like a Schindler's List kind of thing. He had saved these people, and he put himself at great risk in doing it. And he and his wife, they were in New York, I think, and his wife was like, we're going to go see this daytime talk show or whatever. So they're sitting in the audience, and it's full audience, and the show starts, and the person comes out and starts talking for a second, and then starts talking about him. And he's genuinely surprised, and he's older at this point, and he's looking around, he's trying to figure out every single other person in the audience was someone he had saved.
Wow.
And he had no idea. Chills. Yeah, you should watch this video.
Yeah.
It's magic.
Wow.
It's magic. The thing is, that is such an incredibly, that is such an incredible vast amount. The Holocaust, World War II was horrible. War is destruction and awful. The Holocaust is a totally different level of just wretchedly horrible, just wrong. Mm-hmm. But that is such a dark negative space that it makes the joy super bright. The space doesn't have to be, you don't need, it's like we're so divided, and it's like, if we could have a common enemy, it's like, right, ease up, man. How about we just focus on what unites us? Mm. Yes, a common enemy helps unite you. It makes it more clear because you can all choose this one thing, but there's far more that unites us than divides us. And if you look for it. And so that's, you know what I mean? So I'm not comparing anything to that because of how dark that is and how much joy he was able to pull in that moment from this incredibly dark time. But we all have an opportunity to pull some kind of joy in that way. And in that similarity, I would like to be surprised by Scott Chambers voting for me for all of the superlatives. I'd like those little things that I didn't know impacted somebody would mean a lot to me. That's who I would want to see. And Christy Brinkley.
And Christy Brinkley.
Hey, Christy.
Winks. You said something very powerful to me about the things that unite us, and there are many. I think we take that for granted. There is plenty of things that unite us. One of my favorites is music. Yeah. I feel something in my soul comes alive at a show. And that's why I want to walk you through your playlist. So I want to know Bourke's playlist for certain things. Okay. And I know that that's hard because I know that you're a music guy too. Yeah. So like my song of survival is obviously Swim by Andrew McMahon. Mm-hmm. We know this.
Andrew McMahon?
Yes.
I'll look him up.
That one.
I'll check him out.
Thank you. You're missing out.
Does he play under any other names? Any band names? Oh
yes, yes. There's something corporate.
Something corporate.
Jack's Mannequin.
Jack's Mannequin. That's a weird one.
Which is my favorite. Mm-hmm. And Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness.
All right. Well, I'll check them out. Please.
I gave you all the time.
Yep.
You need to have your Song of Survival ready.
Okay. Mr. Blue Skies is one of my favorite songs ever.
Yes. That's a good one. I hear it. I feel it in my soul with you said it. I'm like, I got it. I'm locked in.
Andrew actually has several that would be on that playlist, and it's hard to pick just one for that.
Try,
because I'm trying. That's what I'm saying. It's hard to pick just one. I mean, Dark Blue obviously just hits different.
Yes.
Mixtape. I mean, they're I got friends. I mean, there's so, you know what I mean? It's hard. I guess I would just go with Dark Blue because of what it reminds me of.
That we're not alone in a crowded room.
We're not alone in a crowded room.
Yep.
Yeah. And then May, M-A-E, has a song that that I'm trying to remember the title of now. It's so funny because I was just playing it for my daughter. But they have a song off of their album Destination Beautiful, their first album. And it's sound off, going to LA, gonna be the one that makes it happen. I can't think of the name of it. It starts with an A, but it's escaping me right now.
I will link it in the show notes.
Please do. Yeah.
And thank you for singing.
That one definitely, it's a little rough, but that one definitely gets me amped as well. And then I think discovering new songs is also like a cool thing. Like which Spotify does okay, but like TikTok, there are a few other sources that will play more and have a better algorithm to match closer to what you're doing. Oh, and Counting Crows, August and Everything After. It's probably one of the better albums for me. Recovering the Satellites, the second album from them, is great too. A lot of music is where you were when you heard it.
Yeah. Well, we could talk about that particular topic for like several days.
Yes.
Not just hours, but days. And maybe we will. In the meantime, though, I am just so grateful for your time, for your energy, for your abundance, for everything, for pouring into me and for pouring into everybody that's watching and listening. And I want to clarify and ask you if there's anything else that you want to share before we wrap.
I want to say that I am so grateful that we met on Instagram. That's what the platform can do, that we became so close via Instagram because of our commonalities. And I also want to thank you for coming all the way out here to my hometown of California. And this is Lazy Pickle Studios, which is so rad. They've got so many different rooms. We're in the Jade Room right now. And it is the coolest studio in LA. And the variety is so dope. And I'm not paid to say this or anything like that, but it was readily available. They were so helpful, Ashley and Sydney. They were so rad. And and I mean, even the help that they were giving in technologically, because I know nothing about it, was super rad. And I'm just so grateful to this experience and to all of the people, both Lazy Pickle, you, the pilots that got you here safely. Should probably high five them. All of that, I'm just so grateful to have it. And I'm looking forward to the Three Pianos show in Chicago, the 22nd.
Same.
Or no, the 22nd is here, Long Beach. I'll be there too. But the 14th and the 12th is his solo show, so we'll see that.
Until then, we'll see you next time on Quick Before You Forget. Thank you for being here with me today on Quick Before You Forget. Please like, share, and subscribe, as that helps the show so much, and I really appreciate it. And I'll see you next time on Quick Before You Forget.